Welcome back again. We're going to continue on with a look at some basic hand woodworking tools with a look at saws today. Okay, so before we get going, we'll talk about how a saw is identified or sized. A saw is identified by how many points in 1 inch. Okay, so how many teeth points in 1 inch, or 25.4 millimeters. Okay, so it's referred to as points per inch. So this saw here that we're looking at is a rip saw. It comes in standard, normally about 26 inches long and 5.5 points per inch. Okay? So these saws are designed to be used at 60 degrees to the work surface and cutting parallel to the grain of the material, so ripping the material. The teeth on a rip saw are actually flat on the top. Okay, so they're pointy this way, but in this direction they're actually flat. So the curve or the cut left by the saw will actually have a flat bottom. So that's a rip saw. Next, we want to have a look at a crosscut saw. So differently to the rip saw, the teeth are pointed in this direction too, and they just alternate back and forth. Okay, so a crosscut saw is designed to be used at 45 degrees to the surface for the most efficient cutting. Standard crosscut saw will have 8 points per inch, a little shorter than the rip saw at around 24 inches. We keep going here with another version of a crosscut saw. This one is a panel saw, a little shorter again at about 22 inches. And a standard panel saw will have 10 to 12 points. Again, it is crosscut, so it's designed to work at 45 degrees to the work surface. Okay, panel saw. Next, we want to have a look at a back saw. Okay, back saw again is a crosscut saw. A little more, you might see 12 to 14 points on a back saw, sorry. And it's designed for, with this stiffened piece on the back here, keep the blade straight for making finer cuts. It can also be used with a miter box, with the different slots cut here, cutting your standard 45, 22 and a half, and square cut centimeters here. So as your workpiece in, you would just cut through and make the cut that you need. So that's a back saw. A smaller version of a back saw. This one is a dovetail saw. This one is actually a pull saw, so unlike these ones that cut on the push stroke, this one will actually cut on the pull stroke. Okay, so just a smaller, but if you're doing some finer work, you might want to go to a dovetail saw. Next one we want to have a look at is a coping saw. So a coping saw is designed for just that, coping, and coping is cutting a match joint in some trim so they'll fit together rather than cutting a 45 miter. You can cope that joint to get everything fitting together. You can also use it for cutting inside holes, small little handles and toolboxes or whatever it is, by taking one end of the blade out, slipping it through the hole, putting it back together, and then you can use it for making internal cuts. A saw primarily designed for making internal cuts would be a compass or a keyhole saw. Okay, so long, narrow blade designed. You drill your pilot hole, then you can get inside and cut those turns or circles or wherever you need to cut. So this is a compass saw. A keyhole saw would be a shorter blade, narrower and more points per inch would be a keyhole saw. So a keyhole saw essentially is a finer version of a compass saw. The last one we want to have a look at is the hacksaw. So a hacksaw is designed for cutting metal, different types of metal. Depending on what type of metal you're cutting, you may need different blades. So different blades for different metals. Obviously the blade will need to be harder than the metal you were cutting, but it should tell you on the side what it's designed for. So you make sure that you have the proper blade for the proper material, and you'll have greater success with the hacksaw. So that's just a quick look at some standard saws for cutting material in carpentry.